This is the Monocoin 1-year overview reading for the year of 2025. That's also known as Decentraland. It's currently October 5th, 2024, 6:56 p.m. Eastern Time. Mana at the time of this reading is 0.2937 or just under 30 cents USD. The shuffle video for the Decentraland reading was created on February 2nd, 2024 at 3:13 p.m. Eastern Time. Wow, so long ago. I'm just getting to this now. We got so backed up in 2024 with custom orders. Just getting to this now. So you could say, for those of you that are skeptics, today's October 5th. In this video, we're going to cover the overall trend direction for the month, as well as any important chart events that take place throughout the month. We're also going to cover the week-by-week chart behavior, timing of the peaks and troughs. Then we're going to get into a review of the previous month's reading to give you an idea of what our accuracy really is like. And we're going to give you one of the best trades that we see for the month. The timing, for the most part, is going to be on point to the day, but there will be some cases where the sequence of events, as outlined in the prediction, will remain accurate, but the day might be off plus or minus a day of wiggle room here or there. In other readings, you won't need to plus or minus wiggle room at all. Point being is that you want to follow the sequence of events as outlined by the prediction. When trading this information, you don't want to use price levels as your entry and exits. This is very important. You want to make sure that you're trading with entry and exits based on chart behavior and general timing, but look for the chart behavior. All of that in this video. Stay tuned to watch the review at the end. The overall theme and behavior for Mana in 2025 is the adjustment card. What's really interesting about this is that the adjustment card was also the theme card in the 2024 reading, which we're going to review in just a moment. So what that could be indicating is the same move, like a continuation of a move starting in 2024 to the upside out of oversold territory on a multi-year scale and continuing into 2025. That's what my sense is, something along those lines. Behavior, and it's crossed, that big move to the upside out of oversold territory on a multi-year scale is crossed with throughout the year at least once out of a decline, out of a scary decline that we expect to decline further in based on technicals. We should have a big move out of that, like even in the face of seemingly overwhelmingly negative chart behavior, we should see big move to the upside. So there may be declines here, but out of those declines, even when we're expecting to go lower, we're going to go higher is what this card is saying. So it'll be helping this move to the upside. In other words, behavior around the highest high for the year, we have a U-shaped dip that forms near the intersection of two perpendicular diagonal trend lines. Now, when we see the Priestess card in the high significator position, often what that's indicating is that we'll see the high twice, and it'll be like a nice dip in between them, not necessarily a low for the year. That's not specified necessarily by the Priestess card, but what you will see are two peaks that are about the same height, like a double top, if you will, with a U-shaped dip in between. It could be, in some cases, a U-shaped dip down to lows, but more often it's going to be like at the high, there's a double top kind of situation. Behavior around the lowest low, we have an important support level on a multi-year scale highlighted at the year's lowest low. That likely means that we see it more than once, because I'm seeing that in a lot of the altcoin readings for 2025, the lowest low met more than once. Not necessarily the case with the Emperor card, but what you can rely upon is the Emperor card being a sound foundation of support. Almost always it's support that you can rely upon and build off of. And in the case of the 1-year reading, it'll be multi-year, recognizable as multi-year support. In Q1, we have a peak early in the quarter around mid-January. Looks like a pretty significant move to the upside off of January lows. Pretty significant move to the upside. It'll stand out on at least the 1-year chart scale into a peak mid-January. We attempt to establish support there. There's a bit of a dip, another big move to the upside on the cusp of January, February, and then a sharp drop. So some price swinging go on in early February or mid Q1 with a sharp drop, one of the sharpest drops of the year, into a significant trough. So we go from a peak to a trough, and then a big move out of a decline in the later part of Q1 from the bottom of the range all the way to the top of the range. A big move to the upside to an important technical price level on a multi-year scale. Peak, trough, peak, basically in Q1. Now Q2, we're set up for some mixed behavior in April. There's a failed attempt at key resistance on a 1-year chart scale, and what's interesting about it is that based on preceding technicals, we're most likely going to expect to break through that resistance, and it's usually disappointing when instead we turn around and we decline through key support into a trough, but it's really mixed. So there's a peak, a prominent peak and a prominent trough in April. A prominent peak and a prominent trough on a 1-year chart scale. Hard to say if it's the high. I think the Q2 high is probably towards the end of the quarter, but again, it's like a peak, trough, and then another peak into a trough mid Q2, and then another peak towards the end of Q2. Price level of the peak in early Q2 will most likely be revisited mid Q2 after a prominent trough, and then we should see a higher price level, a higher peak for Q2, like its highest peak in the early part of June. As far as Q3 is concerned, we've got early bullish behavior offering trade opportunity that I may talk about total access version of this video. Also indications that out of a July low, the July low, it looks like is revisited either in July or in August. Hard to say, but we go from like this rally early in Q3 into a sharp decline, and then more mixed behavior mid Q3, like another rally to key resistance, and then a equidistant or more drop. An important support level highlighted in the later part of Q3 with a huge move to the upside unexpectedly into another peak, and that's followed by a significant drop So probably the highest point for Q3 is going to be towards the end of Q3 in early September, but that's followed by a sharp drop. We go from a rally into a decline, taking us to a trough mid Q3, followed by this huge move to the upside into a peak, and then a drop into the cusp of Q3, Q4. A sideways rotation and then a lot of price movement in the early part of October and the early part of Q4, likely declining from a peak there in early Q4 into an important trough on the cusp of October, November, with another important trough, like 2 important troughs probably in November, and then December is very mixed, so we end the year in pretty much like declining into price swinging and then multiple failed attempts to break through resistance there. Likely higher than whatever the trough is mid Q4. We'll probably end at a higher price level than the trough mid Q4. Sneak preview for 2026, a key resistance level on a multi-year scale that we should decline from and then return to at least once throughout the year. We'll talk about that in more detail when we get into the reading for 2026. And in the total access version of this video, we look at the cross-reading congruencies with the multi-year reading that overlaps 2025. Look out for a really sharp decline on the cusp of Q1 and Q2. Look for a big pop at the end of Q3. We're going to get into one of the best trades that I see for 2025 in just a moment. But before we do that, let's take a look at the 2024 reading and see how our accuracy has been thus far. Now, keep in mind, we did this reading in February of 2024 at 3:08 p.m. Eastern Time. Still pretty solid considering we're now using it still in October. Let's see what the accuracy. I found a couple of times that I missed the high with this completion card, so I need to take that a little bit more seriously moving forward as a possible high indicator. But this was a tricky reading. In any case, we did have lowest lows in late January and early February. They were lowest lows thus far, and there was this huge move to the upside in February, right? And with sideways rotation near the high. So that's as far as the chart behavior and the timing of that, pretty solid. We also had a sharp decline into the February low. That's up for debate. But, you know, we're not going to get it all right all the time. You got to understand that. That's why I always advise trade responsibly. We're not going to get it right all the time. And we review every reading and post every reading's review. Doesn't matter how awful it is. We want you to see an honest reflection of what our accuracy is. So we never take our videos down, FYI, if you didn't know that. And so this isn't the best reading, but I was just off a little bit because it ended up being here in March. I have it for April, and I also have it within close time proximity to the April low. And you can see the high is on a scale of a 1-year chart, the high is within close time proximity to the April low. So that's pretty solid. And that was the lowest low thus far, right? This is where it went a little off board. And this actually happened in a few 2024 readings where we had a highest high here in April and it didn't pan out. It's peculiar how that happens, and then the rest of the reading will be pretty solid. I mean, that's how it is sometimes, guys. It would be really foolish to expect it to always be 100% accurate with this kind of detail. Like, it's pretty darn good. Find somebody who does it, more detailed or more accurate, and I really would love to learn from them, so let me know. Okay, so the way that I should read this now, so we were off on the highs and the lows for this. The chart behavior itself has been pretty solid, off on the highs and the lows, but I should have picked up on this Princess of Cups as a lowest low, and you can see here in August, September, we have opportunity. This is the lowest low here in September. At the very end of September, offering opportunity to open up a long position, and you can see how that went into a pretty significant move. You could have traded that. There's a sharp decline in early October through multiple supports. We should meet a price level near the low of the September low that we then rally out of pretty notably. Look out for some sort of fake out here in October, towards October, but hopefully people are in a long position based on this opportunity here. You could probably, this right here is probably an opportunity on a multi-year scale to open up a long position. I'm not sure if I identified it that way when doing the 2024 readings. It's so long ago, who knows? Who's got time to go look at that? I just read the markups and see what I would have said, So in any case, the Princess of Cups opportunity, hopefully people have entered into it. If you haven't and you're following along, you probably, for multi-year, you probably enter into a long position here based on the fact that we're not far from the lows of September. And what I'm looking for, right off of the October low, there's a huge move. That orange correlation to the adjustment card. So this may be where it starts right here at these lows is where the move really starts and very likely continues into 2025 because we've got that same thing going on. We'll look at that in more detail when we get into the total access reading and look at the multi-year reading and determine where the 2025 reading is really fitting into that. All right, so with that said, guys, one of the best trades that I see for Mana in 2025. Okay, so really early in the year, in January, there's a pretty solid trade here, guys. Early January, we're going to have a period of volatility. There should be a significant decline in that volatility in early January through multiple support levels on the scale of a 1-year chart. And in the midst of that decline, what you might want to do is open up a partial long. If we go substantially lower, add to it. If we go substantially lower, add to it. Because where we fall from in early January, we're going to end up higher by most likely mid-January because that volatility is going to end with a fast sudden move higher and a big adjustment card move off of the January low, taking us into a January high, probably the beginning of the third week or right around the mid part of January. It'll be a key technical price level we'll have like a breakout, at least temporarily, and there'll be a key technical price level on a multi-year scale where we'll have a failed attempt to break through resistance, or we'll break through it just momentarily before we break back down. But look for that key technical price level of resistance on a multi-year scale as your exit for that long position around the highest high thus far for the year in mid-January. It's a pretty solid trade, guys. Pretty solid trade there. Best way to trade this information, however, is always going to be to follow along with our Discord live trade alerts and live updated trading view chart links. All of that is part of the Total Access Pass. You get access to everything on the website, my friends. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, stay tuned. We're going to get it. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Much love and appreciation to everybody watching. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. Most importantly, make sure to follow that rule of karma and help me fulfill my goal to transmute the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill with your help. I help you, you help me. Everybody benefits, the whole world. So blessings to that and blessings to you. Much love. Blessings to all my angel investors. I will see you guys on the next one for the timing of the highest highs and the lowest lows, as well as the remaining trades. That's all in the Total Access.